all around. Thank you so much, Salome, for asking interesting and challenging question. Yes, so I'll talk about gender, define what gender is, and also define how gender links to climate change. And just as we're talking, I would just like one of the youth, the young there, to come and tell us that do they even know that climate change? Because sometimes we end up talking and they're just looking at us. Someone can organize that. So
toothbrush.
Yeah, one of the youth, just come, just volunteer. Yeah, just organize that. So as you're organizing that, I'm going to ask the youth one or two questions. Okay, you can come. And I also want one youth there. I want a young person there, 8 years, 7 or whatever, to come also forward.
Nani uko tayari?
Yes, just volunteer, because I want to take one person to Dubai for the next COP29 from Kibera. So
so umesikia Dubai ukakuja? Utaki kwenda Dubai?
Yeah. So as we wait for a young person to come forward, when I talk about gender, it's about the social interaction between men and women. So most of the time, gender is not just about women, but we understand that in our communities, in our households, women have specific roles to do, and men also have specific roles to do. So when we talk about climate change, we look like, how does climate change affect, for example, the role of women? If women are involved in collecting water, collecting firewood, how does, when there's water crisis, how do they survive? And most of the time when women are involved maybe in collecting water, then also their daughters are involved in doing the same. We know very well women are involved in cooking and other activities. So basically, sometimes we look at what are the different roles that men and women have in our society. Then sometimes we also look at the socio-cultural norms. What are some of the social or culture which limits us from doing certain activities? And also we look at, as women and men, what are our sources of information? So if I came to Kibera now, and I wanted to talk about climate change in the community, what I'll do, I'll look at, do women listen a lot to the radios? Where do they get their information from? Any kind of information. So when the kind of where they get their information from, that's where I use it. Whether they get information from the church, from the women group, and where does the men get their information from? Do they get it when they've gone to drink with their fellow men? Do they get it from the chief barazas? And where do even children get their information from? Do they get their information from the teachers? Do they get them when they've gone to play for football in the course of the week? So those are some of the things we're looking at. And again, when we come to Kibera, I want to unpack some of the climate change issues in Kibera, but I feel that I have people who are more experienced than me, and I'll just give them maybe 1 or 2 minutes to tell me what they understand by climate change and what do they think that, how does climate change affect them in Kibera?
Good morning. My name is Karen Brandy from Kibera, and climate change to me means the changes that occur both in the environment and in some of our bodies, especially the women. And climate change mostly affects us women and girls in terms of maybe the change in the cycle of our menstrual health. Yeah.
Thanks again. My name is Alan Kabane Asembo. Just to respond to the question. Climate change, according to me, I won't pick from the definition of the dictionary. Just say what I think. Climate change, according to me, is associated with the 4 seasons. The rainy season, the winter season, the sunny season. So if you relate it to also change, that means that when we are used to seeing rain in this particular season or this particular month, then if we don't see the rain, then the climate has changed. That's according to me. And then again, it also goes to the effect it does to the also to the environment. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I think you all have the answers. We've been given an answer that
Sorry.
climate change.
I've been left there. Thank you. My name is Zedeki Omondi. I'm from Kisumu. On my understanding on climate change, these are the changes around the community. Like, you might find that there is changes, like today you can see the weather is calm. Tomorrow you might find it will be sunny or rainy. And on the other hand, climate change, as per the way you have asked the question, I've understand it like the changes that have been taking place around the community. Like, you might find our ladies and women in the community are going some of the changes. Like, you might find they are under violence. There is no priority given to them, whereby you might find that they might feel that they are being left behind. Those are the changes, according to me, as per the way you have asked the question. Like, you might find today, like yesterday, it get rained. You might find that there are some of the houses in Kibera that flood swept away was swept away by floods. And on the other hand, you might find that there is hot sun, whereby we as Kibera people, we undergo the challenge on water. That's where the climate change, as for me, it affects the people in Kibera. Yeah.
So I won't take much time. I'll just be brief. I think I thank a lot the voices of Kibera, and they've talked about climate change being changes in weather. Women feel it on their body when there's water scarcity. They feel it on, the community. So I like that. So because they've already said much, I'll just summarize a little bit. They've said, when I look at climate change in Kibera, I look at issues of water and sanitation. I look at issues of how can we do tree planting. I look at issues of how do we plan even our communities so that we can have recreational centers. I look at the kind of housing that we have. Can we have greenhousing, whereby they've got good ventilations? They can be small houses, but are they well ventilated? I look at the issues of the energy we use in Kibera. Are we still using charcoal? And because the 60% of the country still uses 60% of fuel, firewood, and charcoal. How do you move into green, affordable energy? And when issues of drought happens, how does it affect the environment? How does it affect the food security of this region? I think I'll stop at the moment.
Thank you so much Nancy. Asanti wale vijana wetu, inakaa tuko barobaro na the understanding ya climate change na vile pia inaweza tuadhiri na vile pia inatuadhiri hapa Kibera. Thank you Nancy, just to also taking us a step and a notch higher when it comes to how you envision the climate discourse and practical things that we do or we can do. Issues of kama bado tunatumia makaa, bado kama tunapanda miti, sijui kama tunapanda miti here, but I can see this place is so beautiful. I hope iko kila mahali Kibera, not too hapa kwa home. So thank you so much. Now kwa dada wetu Michelle ambaye unafanya masuala ya amani, ningetaka pia utuelezee kama watu wadogo, the youth. Okay, not me because I don't think I qualify. Nishatoka kwa hiyo bracket ya youth because the definition ilitoa, but najua I have the blessings of the young people in the room. Just tell us masuala ya amani na security insecurity inaingiliana wapi na gender-based violence?
So for me, the intersectionality actually of all the things we are discussing is resilience. Because when you do not have resilience, it is because of external factors, things that she has discussed, climate change, you don't have access to water, you do not have access to a safe space. So when we're looking at peace and security in terms of informal settlements, I'll pick up from what Nimo had talked about. In peace building, we call it personal safeguarding. So you cannot pour out to the community what you don't have. So we always champion for peace builders, number one, personal safeguarding. because we are engaging with the community constantly, listening to the problems that are there, supporting the community, but you cannot give what you cannot have. So encouraging peace builders to take some time to, refill their cup and then move forward. What does that mean also for us in the community? Many a time, the youth are facing challenges because of lack of unemployment, because of poverty. Touching also on what she said, when we are thinking about gender-based violence, access to water and toilets becomes very critical for us, because watu wengi wanabakwa because wameenda wachoo. Things like that, and it affects the dignity of the youth. Because also, the boy child, I know our focus is on women and girls, but the boy child will not discuss it. So what does that mean when you're looking at the whole spectrum of peace and security, is that your individual security has been compromised. You then lash out to the community because you do not have a safe space to express what has happened to you. And also, when we're looking at it, we also look at aspects of inequalities and knowledge gap, ignorance, in the sense that many people do not know how to avenues to express the things that they have seen in the community. Drugs and substance abuse is also linked to gender-based violence. There are so many dens, but when it comes to security engagement, it's very difficult to shut down those dens because of the chain of command. So at a chief atakwambia, there's nothing much you can do when it comes to shutting down those dens. And I speak like this because this is not unique to Kibera. It is unique to all informal settlements. And I go to the extent to say not just in Nairobi, but in other areas, because I have worked in this space in Marsabit and in Garissa, and it is the same challenge. So there are things that across board, for me, I see resilience becomes the glue that cements peace and security in the region, that addresses climate change issues, that addresses mental health in the community. The other thing is governance, because all these things depends on political will. So if you do not have good political will, then many of these challenges that we face in the community are not addressed. But the beauty of that is youth peace and security, which is what we're discussing today, because it's championing youth to be able to create those spaces, to be able to address those challenges. See, they say the person who's wearing the shoes down who knows. So that is exactly what YPS does, challenging the youth. And thank you so much for this space, because it gives us an avenue to see areas where we can collaborate in our work in mental health, climate change, and peace and security.
Thanks so much. Maybe in the set of this round, 2 questions, maybe what I would want also you to start pondering around and about is, where do you see the youth in this discourse? What can they do in their small ways? Because we know they're the majority of the population in this country. But in terms of their usage, how well are they used to enhance peace? So where are they? Because sisi wote ni wadogo, apart from Salima, si ndio? Mayouth hoye. So ndio tusikuwe tunatumika tu kwa mangori, tunawezaje tumika kikamilifu kwa mjadala kama wa climate change, haya mambo ya amani, mambo ya kuzungumzia mambo ya mental health, because I know if we use our youth vizuri, tunaweza pata mambo makubwa sana. So Joan, mambo ya digitali, kwa wengine wetu inatupigaga chenge, inatupiga kona, lakini ni mambo ambayo we have to contend with, because we are evolving as a country and also in the world. So the digital space, when it comes to issues of peace, security, climate change, mental health, where is the space for the digital discussion? And are we taking steps, or are we still in denial? Like some of us even, as long as the phone is functional, and I receive M-Pesa, na inaweza sema yes and no, we are good. But where is the digital space in this discourse?
Thank you for that question. I think 100 years ago, we would hear stories from our parents and our grandparents and great-grandparents, and that's how messages were passed along. But we moved from that. We used to talk about the future of digital. So that's past. We are in digital. When COVID happened, none of us expected it. It hit every single one of us in the entire world, not in Kenya only. And we had to shift and pivot and do things differently. Now, one thing that's been happening in this country, na Kenya tuko mbele sana compared to other countries. If you're from another country, please forgive me. This is a fact. Kenya tuko mbele sana. Tuko na infrastructure ya digital. M-Pesa inafanya, which means Safaricom inakuwa mahali fulani, Airtel, Telcom, zote zinafanya. Government services zote ziko online. Utaenda Huduma Center, lakini utahudumiwa online. Which means our mindset has already been tuned towards digital. Inamaanisha unaweza kupata service kwa mtandao wa digital. Tunasema wakati COVID ilifanyika, we said, okay, children, do digital learning. Because we were not ready, so it was really mixed how that translated for us. But one thing became very, very, very clear. We need to have the skills for the future. Huwa tunasema 21st century skills. Communication, collaboration, digital, sijui nini. How will we get them if we don't start learning? Now, I worked in Kibera from 2006 when I started doing program in Kibera. So I know quite a number of partners who are here. And we have seen some of the change, quite a bit of the change that has taken place. The one thing we've learned from many, many communities, watu wako na digital, lakini hawajui kuitumia vizuri. Kuna resources, wamama wanalia, watoto wangu wako nyumbani, wangeweza kusaidika. Their community library, tumeshaweka digital packages, wanaweza kwenda kule. Mtu ako na mobile phone yake nyumbani, kuna resources za kusoma, reading and learning. Na unaweza kuaccess hizo resources ili usiumie anabaki nyuma na wengine wanasoma. With the program we've been doing in Kibera, one time we had a focus group with young ladies from 1 to 4. Tukawauliza, ni nini mungependa kujua kwa platform ya digital? Wakatuambia reproductive health. Huwa tunadanganywa huku nje na saa ingine hatujui mali tutapata the right information. Now, we have a platform that we are using for young children. It's called Booksmart. For youth and older audiences, we use one in a mobile. These two platforms allow you that privacy. Unaweza kwa pengine wewe ni youth, unataka kusoma kitu fulani na hujui utasoma wapi. Uko na hiyo privacy. Wengi wenu mko na simu. Kama ni data mnaogopa, usiogope sana. Enda public library. Kibera community library iko tu hapa. Iko na internet na unaweza access. Kama ni kuna libraries around here within Kibera and outside of Kibera. Mahali huko tafuta resources. Tumesema Google can be your friend. Lakini ukitumia Google, you must tumia pia responsibly. So there is that question of ethics that we try to build, basic digital skills. Si tukiambiwa digital unaona pengine tunaenda kufanya coding. Hapana, ile tu ya kujua nikitumia site fulani, is it a safe site? Am I putting myself at risk? Am I putting my children at risk? Am I putting my business at risk? All of that. Now the beauty of digital is this. All these topics we are talking about, you can do them on a digital platform. It is a tool. That is all. When we talk about our Booksmart app, which is for reading for young children, there is an area we focus on. Social emotional learning. Yani, unajifunza, wewe ni nani? Who am I as an individual? Who am I in my community? How do I self-regulate? How do I make decisions? Kuna platform that is free to use. Tumia, utajifunza. There are guidelines for teachers, for parents, for caregivers. Kama una engage na mtoto wako on that platform, you learn how to do that. It might look like something very, very small. But guess what? When they grow up, about those 21st century skills. Anatafuta kazi. Unasikia siku hizi employers wanasema, how are you siku hizi? Tuwezani nao. It is because they did not build the skills at the right time. So they don't know how to self-regulate. Ukimletea ka stress kadogo, na si ati stress mbaya, stress ya kazi, anasema I quit. I have mental stress. I have this. It is because they have not learned self-regulation. So digital is a platform that can allow all these issues to be addressed. When we are talking about climate change, we have a book on plant a seed. It's a very nice, simple book for children, but it's about Wangari Maathai's story. So you can learn so much on that platform just by reading a book, traveling the world, then you know, nikiwa na wenzangu, this is how I should behave. If it's a question of peace, you learn about other communities. Sio tu community ya Kibera, unajua, kumbe, kuna kijiji inaitwa Langas, huko Eldoret. Kuna kijiji inaitwa, kuna watu wa lugha tofauti tofauti, and this is how I should behave when I am with them. So there is so much that can be done through a digital platform that can enhance peace, that can enhance security, that can enhance mental health, that can address some issues around gender-based violence. Where do I go for help? Who do I call? What kind of information should I have? Because in some of our cultures, maybe slapping your wife means you love her very much. Even though kulikuwa kitambo, sindio? So how do we change that kind of narrative? I really appreciate the efforts that the government has put in place in terms of recognizing ICT as a driver of, or a catalyst of unlocking digital skills so that people can access information, they can be informed, you can build things based on the knowledge and the information you have. So there is a place for digital in our entire discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nafikiri kwanza nataka kuuliza swali kwa sisi ambao tumekaa hapa kutokana na mazungumzo ambayo tumesikia. Wangapi wetu hapa wanajua hiyo library iko wapi? The community library in Kibera. Tunajua mahali iko? Iko wapi? Wapi? Iko wapi? Na hiyo platform ya kusoma vitabu tunajua? Tuko nayo? Sio itumia. Haya, tujipigie makofi. Awesome. I think that is really, really powerful because pia natuonyesha vile tunaweza tumia digital kuweza pia kupambaukiwa na mambo na pia kujisomea mambo ya masuala ya pia mental health na pia ya muhimu. Wazazi tuko wapi hapa? Wazazi oye! Wazazi oye! Tumesikia jambo ambalo tumeambiwa na Joanna ambayo ni ya muhimu. Tunafaa kwanza kujenga zile wanaziita skills, kama kusaidia mtoto kufunga kiatu, anajifungia, kama kusaidia mtoto kujifungia shati ya shule, kama kusaidia mtoto anajifanyia mwenyewe. Kuna kitu kwa saikolojia inaitwa motor development. Watoto wengine wetu tunawapeleka shule lakini hizo skills zina lack kwa sababu tumewazoea kuwafanyia. So tunaambiwa na Joan pia ni vizuri tuweze kuanza kubuild hizo skills mapema hivi watoto wakiwa ikifika mahali wanaweza kuwa wanajisimamia. Sawa sawa. So we are learning also. Haya, tuende kwa kaka yetu Mwachausa. Community expert kwa masuala ya jamii. Lakini najiuliza kwa the whole project design, labda ni wapi huwa tunakosea ama ni wapi huwa tufikiri masuala ya kuunganisha haya mambo, because ukianza kwa planning ukikosea tu hapo implementation pia kuna shida. So haya masuala ya peace, climate, because wengine wetu tunaanza kusema these are new concept, it's a new concept, but nikisikia kwa mazungumzo yetu sisi wote tunasema ni mambo ambayo yamekuwa, lakini ni wapi huwa tunakosea wakati tunafanya hiyo project planning mpaka tuende kwa implementation? Karibu.
Yeah, asante sana Salma. Swali zuri. Nitakuomba kama utaniruhusu kidogo niweze nitatumia lugha Swahili labda tumezoea kule pwani. Ningependa kuchachadua kiasi ama kupambanua zaidi mwingiliano wa haya maswala, alafu niseme wakati tunataka kufanya project tunakosea wapi mpaka tunapotea njia huko mbele. Ningekuwa mwalimu, labda ningekuwa mwalimu wa chekechea, maana napenda kuvunja polepole mpaka yule mtoto aweze kuelewa. Chekechea ni ile shule ya ECD, early childhood development, ndio shule ya chekechea. Sasa ukiwa mwalimu, kama unaweza kufundisha wanafunzi level ile, inamaanisha hata watu wazima wanaweza kufundisha vizuri. So tunazungumza kuhusu intersectionality ama mwingiliano wa mambo ya climate change, masuala sexual and gender based violence ama dhulma za kijinsia, alafu na masuala ya mental health, afya ya akili na moyo, alafu pia masuala ya amani. Yanaingiliana vipi? Ningekuwa naweza kuchora jedwali ama ingekuwa, if I want to draw a diagram, ningeweka climate change pale juu, chini niweke mshale unasema unaingilianaje na mental health, alafu mshale unaingilianaje na masuala ya dhulma za kijinsia, alafu chini kabisa zinaathiri vipi masuala ya amani ya sisi kama jamii. So tukianza pale kwa tuseme tabia nchi ama climate change, dada pale amezungumza vizuri sana. Amezungumza kuhusu climate change is not just about si tu ni mabadiliko ya hewa, lakini ni mabadiliko ya nyenzo ama mambo ambayo yanasaidia sisi kuishi. Yameathiri vipi mabadiliko yale upatikanaji wa maji? Yameathiri vipi masuala ya usafi? Yameathiri vipi ukulima ama upanzi na mavuno yake? Yameathiri vipi miundo msingi mizima ya mambo ambayo tunahitaji leo kwa leo? Na haya mambo haya mengi yanamuhusisha mwanamke, na ndiposa tunataka kuunganisha pale. Na kwa nini sexual and gender based violence? Kwa sababu mwanamke akiwa nyumbani ndiye tumemweka kama chombo cha kutafuta maji kuleta nyumbani. Kama hauna pipe water, ni mwanamke ndo ataenda kutafuta maji. Je, kama maji yako karibu, mahusiano yenu nyumbani yakoje? Na kama maji yako mbali mpaka ataabike kwenda kuyatafuta safari ndefu, mahusiano yenu pale nyumbani yanakuwa namna gani? Mwanamke akipata maji mahali parefu, inamaanisha akija amechoka akili na mwili, na kuna huduma zingine huenda asizipeane, na kwa ajili hiyo inaweza kuleta mtafaruku katika nyumba. Kwa hivyo climate change inapobadilika, inamaanisha inaathiri mahusiano yetu pale nyumbani, kwa sababu mwanamke anakuwa na dhiki ya kupata huduma za kimsingi kuleta kwa familia yake, alafu inamfanya yeye anaonekana kama ambaye hawezi kuhudumia jamii yake, na hapa inaleta mvurugano baina yeye na watoto na pia yeye na labda na baba wa nyumba. Kwa hivyo haya ndio maswali muhimu sana ambayo tunazungumza kama Kibera. Mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, mabadiliko ya climate change yameathiri vipi urahisi wa dada mama kuleta huduma ndani ya nyumba ambazo ni za msingi na zimeachiwa yeye kama kiongozi wa huduma hizo? Endapo anapata dhiki kuzileta huduma zile, inamaanisha climate change imeathiri uhusiano pale nyumbani, manake kutakuwa na mtafaruku, huduma hazipatikani za kutosha, na mwenye anazitafuta anapata dhiki lakini hashukuriwi. She is not appreciated. Hilo jambo la kwanza. Alafu linachangia vipi masuala ya afya ya akili na moyo ama masuala ya mental health? Endapo msichana ama mwanamke mama ana struggle kuleta huduma za maji, kuleta huduma za fuel ikiwa kuni, labda ana struggle kuweka usafi ndani ya nyumba, inamaanisha anachoka akili. Na endapo bwana ama watu katika nyumba hawamshukuru ama hawamuoni kwamba amefanya jambo la maana, basi yeye anaanza kujenga kidonda kwenye moyo wake kwamba kumbe mimi nafanya kazi bure, lakini hakuna mwenye anaona nafanya kazi. Na hii inaleta mtafaruku katika relationship pale nyumbani. Kwa hivyo hii ndio pale unasema tabia nchi imekuja kuathiri hali ya afya ya akili. Bwana ametoka kazini, labda ametoka katika kwari, ametoka machimbo ama ametembea kutoka CBD kuja mpaka nyumbani Kibera. Amechoka, amepata labda kitoweo ambacho si cha kawaida, si nyama wala si samaki, lakini labda amepata kitoweo ambacho ni duni, lakini ndio ambacho amekipata. Akija kwa mama, kwa sababu mama amechoka na hali ya akili haiko sawa, mama anamwambia umeleta kitoweo gani sasa? Ama yeye aje aone nyumba si safi, amwambie sasa mambo gani? Mwanamke mzima siku mzima hauwezi hata kusafisha nyumba, lakini kumbe mama amepata taabu sana kutafuta maji angalau ya kuoga. Akasema heri nyumba leo tusiisafishe, lakini watoto wapate maji ya kuoga na maji ya kupikia chakula. Sasa pale tayari kunaleta mgongano baina ya baba anajiona hajakuwa appreciated na mama anajiona kwa efforts zote pia hajakuwa appreciated. What does that breed? Hiyo inaleta discord, inaleta mtafaruku pale ndani ya nyumba. Kwa hivyo tabia nchi imeathiri hali ya afya ya akili ndani ya nyumba. Alafu je, inachangiaje katika nao dhulma za kijinsia? Inachangia kwa kuwa sasa mimi kama baba nikiona hufanyi kazi ya maana na kufanyaje? Na kutupia maneno kwa kwamba si mazuri. Si maneno ya kukujenga bali maneno ya kukudumisha. Ijapo kwamba unafanya bidii. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha na kudhulumu kijinsia. Cha pili, labda kama mimi ni mtu ambaye sina subra, labda naweza kuchapa hata kofi ama kidigo tunasema na kuzungunyura na kusukuma kichwa kwa kidole. It is very demeaning. You feel as a woman you are not appreciated and someone is violating your space. That is already gender-based violence. Inafika mahali kama hamchekeani, you don't appreciate each other. What happens? Yale maneno ambayo kwamba yamewafanya mkakuja kwa ndoa, ikifika wakati wa kupeana hiyo huduma, hakuna mwenye ako tayari kupeana huduma. Inakuwa tena ni sexual and gender-based violence. Na endapo naona mimi nilipa ng'ombe zangu, nilipa mbuzi, nilipa pesa, nikakulipia mahari na kuna huduma za msingi unipatie, zinaleta vita ndani ya nyumba. So now this is where the intersectionality comes. Unaondoka huko kwa climate action, unakuja kwa mental health, unakuja kwa sexual and gender-based violence. Kama hayo yote yametokea, kuna amani kweli? Hakuna amani. Ndio maana sasa vitu zote hizo tatu zinaenda kuchangia sasa ukosefu wa amani ndani ya nyumba, na kama hakuna amani ndani ya nyumba, inamaanisha inachangia ukosefu wa amani kwenye mitaa na pia kwenye community. Sawa. Sasa ndipo nirudi kwenye swali lako, nasema kama wafanyikazi wa jamii ama kama watu ambao kama tunafanya miradi kwenye jamii, tunakosea wapi? Mpaka hali ya kwamba inafika mahali tumetumia pesa nyingi lakini hatuoni faida. Inatokea pale mahali, tunakosea pale mahali panaitwa logical framework. Kabla ufanye mradi, unajiuliza what is the logical framework? Yaani unaelekezwa na nini? Katika logical framework unajiuliza maswali mawili. Kwanza, ni shida zipi kubwa ambazo tunataka ambazo zinatusibu? Na unaliwaza gani kwa hii jamii? Ukisema shida kubwa ni kwamba tunapata incidences nyingi za sexual and gender-based violence hapa Kibera, unajiuliza then what is your goal? Riwaza yako ni nini? Unataka Kibera iwe ni mahali ambapo kwamba kuna mtagusano mzuri baina ya jamii, wakiwa wanaume, wanawake, wavulana na wasichana, watoto kwa wakubwa, kwa njia ambapo kwamba wanaona kila mmoja ako na nafasi yake ya kimsingi na haijachukuliwa ama haijadhulumiwa. Kwa hiyo inakuwa riwaza yako. Ukishaanza pale juu unajiuliza then tutaanza vipi? Maybe unajiuliza what are the objectives ama unajiuliza what are the outcomes. Unataka kupata outcome ngapi katika safari yako ya kuweka mahali salama Kibera? Unakuwa na outcome 1, 2, 3, 4. Na kila outcome unajiuliza outcome hii ili tuseme kama imefikia, kuna dondoo zipi ama indicators zipi ambazo kwamba tutataka kuziona ili tuseme ni kweli sasa hii outcome ipatikane. Sasa unaorodhesha indicators zako. Alafu katika kila indicator zako chini yake unajiuliza which outputs. Katika indicator hii, kama indicator hii inamaanisha kuwe na mtagusano mzuri baina wanaume na wanawake, indicator yake ni nini? Labda hali ya kushauriana, kusalimiana na space ya wanawake kupewa na wanaume kupewa. Je, outputs zake ni zipi? Ukishatoka kwenye outputs unajiuliza then tufanye mazoezi yapi ama activity zipi ili tuweze kufikia hizi outputs, na hizi outputs ziweze kufikia hizi outcomes, na hizi outcomes ziweze kufikia that desired goal. Ukianza hapo, kabla hujaandika story ndefu, maana proposal unaweza andika hata peji 20, lakini kama hauna mwelekeo inamaanisha utapotea hapo katikati. Lakini ukianza katika logical framework inamaanisha unaongozwa hatua baada ya hatua kutoka kwenye lengo lako kuu mpaka kwa mazoezi ama activities ambazo ndizo chini kabisa katika mradi utazifanya namna gani. Tukifanya hivyo sote inamaanisha miradi yetu yote itakuwa inaweza kuwa na mafanikio. Na endapo mradi umekoseka katika logical framework, mfadhili ama technical person anakuambia ndio, lakini hii logical framework yako haikufikishi kwenye lengo lako kuu, inabidi ubadilisha hapa katikati, maana kuna mahali umekosea. Naam.
Asante sana Machozi. Tutajia kidogo. One last thing. Ngoja kwanza. Hawa tuna because tunasema kumwandani ina theme. We need to pause a little bit. Kindly just let's pause for now. So tuani kutaka kuzungumzia kuongezea kwa Ali na maybe nitampa pia swali ambayo maybe atazungumzia kwa kipindi cha pili. Nimwambie alafu uongeze ndio ikuwe combined kama ataweza maybe to respond kwa saizi ama kwa baadaye ama ni comment ama ni swali. It's a comment. Haya, go ahead.
Ningependa kuchangia pale kidogo. Swali lilikuwa so it's not like this. The question was about coordinate. Where are we failing? I think the policy side, government, we lack coordination. Kuna miradi mingi sana hata hapa Kibera, kuna miradi kadhaa that are helping many people. But what happens is we lack in coordination. Utapata pengine kwa kijiji fulani Kibera there are 10 organizations. Na kijiji kingine there's one organization. One person is doing gender-based violence, the other one is doing climate. We've said there's commonality, there is intersectionality between us. If we can be better coordinated, we can serve the community better because utasema maneno one person will talk about violence, another one will talk about peace. Na ameeleza vizuri sana how they are connected. If we can be coordinated, then the outcome or the final outcome, which will be the result of all the outputs that have gone in, will be much more beneficial to the community. Lakini wewe kufanya you're doing your things over there, ule anafanya yake pale, ule anafanya yake pale, yet you could come together and work together, we lose out. So a little bit of coordination, and this has to come from the government because we all operate under a certain framework and a certain policy. Thank you.
Just to add on to what has been said, in addition to coordination, I think it's very important for any actor to understand the dynamics per community. You know, most of the time as NGOs, we come, we have some funding and we want to do an activity without understanding if that activity will actually do more harm to the community or not. So understanding the local dynamics, understanding how it contributes to greater peace and sustainability of some of the ongoing projects is also one thing which closely links to what she's saying in coordination, because when you go to the ground, you can understand maybe some spots wamekuwa hapo, so you go and learn from what they are doing and see also how you can collaborate your efforts to push the agenda that you want.
Thank you. So in your set, the next set of questions, Ali, Motosa, nafikiri kwa maswali, nafikiri they also got something from me. Ya kwanza ni hiyo ilikuwa coordination, ya pili ilikuwa I've been trained in Kibera, I think in the 90s, in community organizing. And Kibera, even from research, is one community that NGOs have heavily invested. But still, the status quo remains the same. So how do we unlock that in terms of, are we competing or are we collaborating? So ukizungumza kwa set ya pili, I also want to hear, how do we remove that? Is it we don't hit the priority, or is it resilience from the community, or sisi wenyewe mashirika tunakuja na our own perceived thoughts of how we want to Kibera and we miss the mark? So where do we go wrong when it comes to that, and how do we avoid unnecessary competition but we collaborate more? Then the other one is when it comes to GBV. When it comes to GBV issues, na ndio swala letu kuu leo. Should we be doing response or should we be doing prevention? Because nafikiri sisi we are good at kuzima moto badala ya kuzuia moto. So in your nini mtu ambaye kama mtaalamu wa masuala ya an expert in that field, what should we be focusing on? Because a lot of resources have been used in response. Should we now change the focus to prevention? And now this is our last set of questions so that we can also open it up to our participant, Anata. Kulikuwa na hayo masuala ya the mental journey as a country. Where are we, and are we doing enough also to address issues of gender-based violence, even in terms of budgetary allocation? Are we giving enough to the GBV?
So I want to say that there are some positive outcomes that the government has taken a step with the Mental Health Act. There's more awareness, especially after COVID. There was a gap that was bridged, isn't it? Yes? Most of our youth and even our elders were open to talking about mental health. When before, you would never come to somebody and say, I'm depressed. You would say, okay, I'm not feeling good. And I'd like to say this, there is a generational gap of information, and that generational gap needs to be built. If we go to our auntie and say, I think I'm not feeling so good in my head, they'd be like, do you have a fever? But you're trying to tell them something else, You're trying to tell them, look, I'm not happy, or there's something frustrating me. So, are we giving the right information to our youth? The youth are the ones who can answer that. Are we giving the solutions that are actually pertinent or for the youth, for the children, for the community? Only the community, the children and the youth can answer this. We can't. I've worked a lot on the ground, and I understand that our youth are super intelligent. They know what they want. They know about topics so diverse that if we talk to them, we will understand that our youth are knowledge conscious. They now go on YouTube, they go on Google, they find out the information they need. That energy needs to be channelized in the right way. Our youth need to be given opportunities. They need to be, informed. I always say this. Are you informed about yourself as a man, as a boy, as a woman, as a child? Do you have that information about your mental health? Yes, then we are in the right direction. Because if you're making an uninformed decision that you'll get in a relationship with somebody because it feels good or it's cool or my peers are doing it, then we are in the wrong step. We need to work together to make this the right way. Because now the youth are really into music, they're really into relationships, they're really into getting a good job. They know how the world is moving. Are we as the 5-6 stakeholders here, the 6 great wonderful people, are we able to help the youth understand that yes, we can help them, to support them, to move them? So prevention is definitely there. And I just wanted to say, you brought up the issue about the boy child, and I'm really keen. Now, the boy child should be given more of a voice. The women are moving fast, and we all know that, right? The girls and the women are really getting with it. I'm not looking at an ideal world. The suicide rates have increased in Kenya in the last 3 months. The statistics are shocking. Youth suicide and child suicide has become a trend in other countries, and I see that trend moving around the globe. So we really need to work hard together to make this change. And that is only by working with the youth on the ground level. And all of us are working for the same goal, I feel. So yes, it is a big, big gap that's been filled because of COVID. The government is doing a wonderful job to open up this to public policy and move it within the systems. It may take time, but it's going to be a good change for sure.
Thank you so much. We also want to hear from Nancy, from the conference that happened. Well, maybe just in a nutshell, if you just tell us in the language that maybe we might understand, what are the resolutions and how do they look like in terms of gender-based violence? Where are we? I mean, are we doing so badly, or are we still different? Because the feedback that I got from the people who participated in that conference is like they didn't see us in that, or maybe the conversations that they were up there and wanasahau to uko chini. So where are we? I mean, did the resolution resonate with us?
Okay, thank you very much, Salome, for the opportunity. And just before I go to the conference, I would just like to resonate with my colleagues. You know, I like very much how Mohammed brought in the issues of gender-based violence and how it happens, maybe like in a setting like Kibera and the mental health and all that. So generally, there's an interlink of all this to climate change. And there's an interlink of what we're discussing here and what happened in the COP. So when we go to the COP, it's a very confusing place because you have the whole world in one place. Because this was the second COP 28.
Sorry, Nancy, to cut you short.
Yeah.
Some of us even don't know what COP inamaanisha. So tuambie tu COP, tuongeleshe tu.
When I start going into the detail of COP, then I have to explain what UNFCCC. But COP basically is every year we organize an international meeting to discuss climate change because we realize that climate change is not an issue which only affects Kibera. It's an issue which affects Langata, which affects Lavington, it's an issue which affects Mandera, and it's an issue also which affects Migori County. So it affects the whole country and it affects the whole globe. So international leaders decided that, you know, as a country, we cannot decide to tackle climate change on our own. We need to come together on a yearly basis, and on a yearly basis, we need to discuss these issues. So when I talk about COP, it means Conference of Parties. And it's always organized by United Nations. And the part of United Nations which organize the Conference of Parties, which we call COP, is called United Nations Framework on Combating Climate Change. So for you to attend this meeting, you have to be accredited by the government, or if you are an international NGO, you can get an observer status. So that means that when you go there as an observer, you can have a lot of side events. So apart from the big event happening, one of the interesting things that there was a space which was created for the youth and children, so that on that space you can come from Amani, Kibera, and showcase what you're doing at Amani. So apart from the big discussions, there are a lot of side events that I attended. I was able to meet 4 governors, introduce them to bilateral partners who can help them in funding. I was able to invite them on my session where I was talking about how climate weather information has transformed a woman's life in Isiolo who used to receive food aid, but now because she was getting seasonal weather information or weekly weather information, now she's able to produce food in abundance and sell. So apart from the major negotiations going on, there's a lot of networking happening. You go there, you find someone doing very interesting thing in Zambia. When I was there, I realized that the Japan government bring a lot of their youth there so that as we are discussing, we are another generation, but how do we bring in another generation? How do I bring in 4 people from Kibera to go to the COP side event and talk about how climate change are affecting them? So when we did discussion, and I was on the gender discussion on the negotiation, every time we have different things we've been discussing. So at the COP, one of the things which has been there is like, can we increase the number of the women who are coming here for the discussion? Can we increase the number of the youth? Can we increase the number of people who are differently able? So they moved away from just having the numbers, and now they started looking at when women or the youth come, do they participate? So they started recording if women talk, how long do they talk? And then one of the things that we suggested, that let's look, it's not just about talking. How do what they say influence policy? So when I went there now, the major thing we're discussing about is climate finance. We can talk about GBV, we can talk about food insecurity, we can talk about water. But where is that money? And at current they say that a lot of money do not reach down on the ground where it's needed most. A lot of money finish at the conferences, at the national level. So as a money, as people working here, how do we ensure that we know where money is? And even if the money was to come through the county of Nairobi, how do we ensure that even at least 30% can come on the ground? So now the dispute is about how do we get climate financing? And when I was there, at least now we put it into the talking. And when we negotiate, for example, America will not really agree easily because we are taking away from them. So those are the things that we're negotiating. But one of the most important things which came out was loss and damage. And now we are in the process of creating a specific fund on loss and damage. But when I talk about loss and damage, someone might ask, what is loss and damage? We, for example, realize that in Kibera, when it rains, I live in Langata, sometimes you come from work and you find your old house flooded. And that means your bed is flooded, if you have electrical things, that means they're spoiled and everything. So how do you compensate all these young men and women and families who have gone through this kind of processes? But beyond that conference, what I want to tell you that there's already money here. But how do we find that there's that money? How do you find out that who do we partner with? And I think that is what we're supposed to take forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I was also in another meeting where we were talking about delocalization of these funds, because we have a lot of funds out there even for women, but how do we delocalize the funds to get to the intended beneficiary? So it's a discussion that I think all of us need to have, and then how even do we track those resources? So Michelle, I'm also reminded that time is not on our side. Time has never been enough. But, I know it's a very important discussion that we are having, but just tell us, in a brief, where do you see the role of youth in the fight against GBV, and just also in ensuring that we also have peace and security?
So the role of youth is in, number one, advocacy. You cannot advocate for something that you do not know about and that you have not experienced or seen in your community. And I think coming from informal settlements, these are things that you see and you're able to then see the importance of advocating for them. And this can only be done through spaces, creating safe spaces for them to be able to discuss such issues. So I would encourage the youth to volunteer. There are so many organizations in Kibera. If you do not know, come to me. I will link you to organizations which are heavily involved in SGBV issues. Even I've seen some of the youth from Feminist, FPGRC here, which has been advocating for youth. In fact, using social media, as you have said, and championing narratives that encourage people to not just look at the gender norms and excuse some of these things that we have seen. Attending forums, education is very important. So when it comes to youth peace and security, and its relation to SGBV, we are talking about how are you participating actively in conversations happening in your community. If you go to the chief will be able to tell you the discussions and the organizations coming to the ground in a particular week. So I'd encourage the youth, go to your local chief, go to the district peace commissioners, sub-county now, go to them. They have access to all this information so that we do not wait for something to happen. As you were saying, we are more proactive. And that is where I'd challenge our youth. Be more proactive. Go and seek for the information. So attending these forums, going to the chief, going to the DPCs, they have quite a number of programs, particularly in relation to this particular subject. And then also addressing issues of economic violence. I know when we're talking about SGBV, people are talking about just the mental aspect of it, but there's the economic violence. So where women are not allowed to work, where even if you're working, you're not allowed to enjoy your salary or whatever money you're getting. So that is a discussion that we also need to have, because it affects community, it affects your interpersonal peace and security. We then go to health security, which one of our ladies also talked about, because again it affects your mental abilities, affects your health. That is why, again, now you're hearing people are having a lot of ulcers and all these issues. It is because of the mental aspect of it. Social media becomes very important for us when we're advocating for SGBV. We have seen on TikTok, people have gone and actually had pleas of people to support them and take them out of the violent relationships that they're in. So let us use those avenues that we have to address this. To answer your question in a nutshell, you had asked what role does youth have? Youth are now being seen as agents of change, but we have to be more proactive in how we are engaging with these opportunities. The county government has funds for youth, but most of the funds are not accessed because youth do not have that information. Go to your chief. You'll be able to be told exactly what you need to do. Form those groups, because the only way you will get the funding to address these issues, if you're interested fully in SGBV, go to your chief, form a group, and write a good concept, and you're able to get funding. And another thing, when it comes to this, is we also need to, we should not tolerate some of the conversations we see on social media. Because the bullying starts from there. We have been involved in quite a number of dialogues in the community here in Kibera. The beef started online. Ikafika kwa nyumba ya mtu. And it takes this aspect of GBV in the sense that your significant other feels that why are you advocating for these things? And I'm talking about it in this way. The women who are championing for the rights of the girl child are usually castigated in the community. It starts online, there are names, they are called names. When they come to the community here, even when they are championing for change, they are told, you're the one who was breaking the households. So we need to also be able to stand firm, because violence against women and girls is a human rights issue that we should not be tusibembeleze. And the only way we'll do that is fighting ignorance in the community. Go and seek the information and you'll be able to champion against this ill that we have, which actually last week was called a pandemic. So we need to stand firm when it comes to that. Education, proactively seek for those information, go to your chief, go to your district committees, go to the Nyumba Kumi. They have all access to all this information. Volunteer, I tell the youth, volunteer and learn from those who have gone before you, because the only way we are going to change is if we learn from the lessons and the mistakes that others who have gone before us have had. And that is one challenge to the youth. Are you learning? Are you going to see what others have done and what you can improve on, so that is the only way we'll be able to be seen as serious stakeholders when it comes to matters of peace and security in our communities.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I don't think I want to waste a lot of time, because I know the MC is just on my case. I don't want to turn back because I know he's trying to see me, watch me. But Joanne, there's something that Michelle has said in terms of being trolled on social media, and there's something also you talked about using the digital space responsibly. How do we do that? Just practical things that we can do in terms of the discourse.
I'm very excited by everything that my panelists, co-panelists are saying, because it still boils down to digital being a tool. I would say start early so that you have the skills. Go to the right places. For example, youth. Sasa naongea na youth. Hii library ya Kibera hapa has got a lot of digital programs that you can learn. Kuna programs by Microsoft, kuna nani, wanakupatia course ya 3 weeks. Na ni free. Free. Just go. The library will teach you how to use it responsibly. Wewe ni mzazi wa kesho. Ukiwa responsible, utafunza mtoto wako awe responsible kesho. The resources are there. Go and find them. We are using schools so that we create an environment that is safe. We are teaching information literacy. We are teaching information ethics. When you learn those things, you can use the social media appropriately. Usually, when you find somebody trolling another person on social media, they are not, I'm not looking for war here, but they are not fully or emotionally well developed to use the service responsibly. If they receive the training and support that is required, you will not go, kuna maneno muo na social media saa ingine nashuka kwa sababu you cannot imagine posting such things. The other thing I would say, we have not yet reached 100% digital. I don't think we are anywhere near that. We are working towards it. Lakini nikiangalia saa hii, kuna mayouth wako social media, wako Instagram, wako TikTok na wameka hapa. Kama uko TikTok, Instagram, hii maneno tunaongea, unasikia kweli? I'm challenging you. Si ndo utakuwa next kutusi mtu on social media? Kwa sababu tunaongea lakini hausikii. It is very, very, very important to balance the use of digital with non-digital resources. If we can appreciate that, we can be able to use digital to make a difference to us. Hii maneno tunaongea peace, tulianza na climate. We are talking about gender-based violence. We are talking about mental health. We'll be able to address if we are responsible. If we are not responsible, to be honest, social media will make it much more difficult. So responsibility and being present in the moment. Tuweke simu kando kidogo, tusikie vile tunaambiwa, alafu tutaendelea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Naitaga digital detox. Thank you so much. I just call it digital detox. Thank you. Mochausa, maswali yako yalikuwa mawili ya haraka. Ni vipi tutaweza kuleta coordination na kuacha competition? Na ya pili ilikuwa ni nini pia tunafaa kufanya haswa mambo ya prevention kwa haya maswali?
Asante sana Salma, uliuliza maswali mazito sana kwamba Kibera imeletewa investment nyingi ya organization, international organization, national, na mbona mpaka sasa bado tuna try to address the same issue. Alafu swali la pili, manake ilikuwa nimenakili ukasema maswala ya sexual and gender based violence, do we go for response or do we go for prevention? So mimi sitaki kuwa devil's advocate. Kwa nini labda Kibera imeletewa pesa nyingi sana za investments NGOs na bado tunatatizika na maswala yale yale. Mimi tuuliza maswali, nikijaribu kurespond nitasema, je, tunafanya huduma kwa jamii kama biashara ama tunafanya huduma kwa jamii kama movement ambayo tunataka kusaidia watu? Jibu liko hapo. Endapo tunafanya biashara, basi hatuna haja ya watu kurekebika. Maana wakirekebika tunapoteza biashara, si ndivyo? Lakini kama tuko hapa kufanya jambo la kubadilisha maisha ya jamii, ndio inamaanisha itakuwa tunafanya jambo ndilo na lenye kuleta mafanikio. Hilo ni la kwanza. Pili, nitauliza miradi yote ambayo imekuja Kibera ama mahali popote, hata kule Mombasa, Kwale, unajiuliza are they community priorities? Je, ni masuala ambayo kwamba ni muhimu ya jamii ama ni mashirika yana respond to call for applications? Maanake kama mashirika ya Kibera na mahali popote tunaenda kujibu maswali ya mfadhili yenye amesema labda maji ndio shida, yeye amesema kutoka Amerika, kutoka Dubai, kutoka European Union, amesema mimi nimesema shida ni maji, na nyinyi mnajua shida ya kwanza si maji, lakini hapa kwenye maji ndio kwenye pesa, inabidi mnarespond. Hiyo tujiulize, miradi mingi ambayo tumeifanya imekuwa miradi ya kurespond to opportunities ambazo zimeletewa pesa, despite the fact kwamba they may not be the priorities ambazo zinaathiri watu wetu, ama tumeanzisha miradi kwa sababu tumefanya survey tukasema hizi ndizo hali zinazogusa watu wetu. So endapo tunafanya kwa sababu tumeona hii ndio haja, basi tuna nafasi ya kubadilisha. Lakini kama tunafanya kwa sababu tuna respond to opportunities ambazo zimeletwa, inamaanisha we are responding to needs of our donors, not of our people. Ya tatu, kuna concept inaitwa human centered design. Human centered design ni ile concept ya kusema kabla ufanye jambo katika jamii, jiulize kwamba je, wale watu wenyewe wanalifikiria kama ndilo jambo linalowahusu ama ni wewe tu unadhani kwamba ndio shida. Kwa mfano mdogo ambao unapeana ni mfano kama uko na meli ama boti maji makuu, as you are sailing you are seeing an iceberg. Je, unaangalia iceberg kama kile kinundu ambacho kiko juu ya maji, ama unaangalia iceberg kama jiwe refu ambalo kwamba limejikita kutoka chini ya maji yale? Tunapofanya miradi yetu tukiangalia iceberg, inamaanisha tuna fail kwa sababu hatuja address issues ambazo zimeleta ile iceberg juu ya maji. Lakini je, miradi yetu inaangazia zaidi lile chimbuko la matatizo ama changamoto ambazo tunaziona, ama tuna address symptoms badala ya kuaddress the root problem? Human centered design is the answer. If you don't do human centered design, inamaanisha hata tukapata trilioni ya pesa na tukapata miaka 100 ya kufanya huduma, inamaanisha we will be missing the point. Alright? Chingine niulize, kuna jambo la msingi sana katika kazi ya jamii. Kazi ya jamii is not like any other profession. Kazi ya jamii is about your passion. Je, una mwito? Maanake kazi ya jamii ni ngumu. Utafanya leo na kesho upigwe na matatizo mpaka ujiulize kwa nini nafanyia nani, urudi nyumbani. lakini kama ni mwito inamaanisha utaifanya. Lakini kama unafanya kazi ya jamii kwa sababu eti uko na skills ama umepata opportunity, inamaanisha hauifanyi vilivyo kwa sababu moyo wako haupo. Unapofanya kazi ya jamii lazima uwekeze moyo wako kwanza, kabla fedha, kabla skills, kabla opportunity. But if we start with the opportunity and then uende ukalearn skills ili uje uweze kuifanya, we are losing the point. Itamaanisha miaka na mikaka hatuweza kutatua matatizo ambayo kama yanatukumba. Chingine, research ama survey. Are we doing our activities kulingana na research, hali ya mwenendo unavyokwenda, ama tunafanya activity manake miaka 10 iliyopita ilisemekana hii ni shida, umetangatanga, lakini baada ya miaka 10 pata pesa unasema hii shida ilikuwa pale miaka 10, kwa hivyo naenda kuitatua leo. Unajuaje wewe ambao umekuja kabla wewe labda wameshaitatua labda hatua fulani, labda wewe unahitajika kuingilia hatua nyingine, lakini kwa sababu haujafanya research, haujafanya survey, unakwenda tu unasema I'm assuming kwamba hii shida ilikuwa miaka 10 bado ipo. Tukienda hivyo inamaanisha Kibera tabaki vile vile hata kama utapata pesa za kufanya intervention. Chingine ni kwamba modeli nzuri ni ya kuintegrate. Hatuwezi kwamba tunataka kusema tunataka kuondoa masuala ya amani, tujenge amani, lakini hatuangalii masuala ya livelihood. Tunataka kujenga amani lakini tujenge masuala ya afya. Unapokuwa na nafasi, integrate. When you are addressing young people, wasipigane, wasishtumiane, and their idol, what have you planted on their hands? Ili kwamba wasiwe idol tena, wachangie pazuri katika masuala ya amani. So let's do integration. Alright? Alafu chengine ni kwamba collaboration against competition. Jambo la ajabu ni kwamba sisi wote ambao tunafanya kazi katika jamii tunaona kwamba tuko na competition. Eti mwingine akipata mimi nimekosa. Cha msingi ni kujua kwamba hata tungekuwa mashirika 1000, tuko na nafasi pana sana ya collaborate na bado tuwe na nafasi ya kufanya. Na hata miaka inayokuja tu nafasi ya kufanya bado. Lakini tukiangaliana kama competition inamaanisha utachukua muda mrefu kumvunja mwenzako miguu ili wewe uonekane. Na je, tukifanya hivyo tunajenga Kibera ama tunaibomoa? Tunaibomoa. Ya mwisho ni kwamba lazima kuwe na coordination na monitoring and evaluation. Tunapofanya jambo lazima tujiulize, je, tulilolifanya limeleta faida kwa kiasi gani? Tuongeze nini? Tusifanye tu kwa kufanya. Mimi kuna msemo napenda kuusema ni kwamba mwenda azimu si yule aliyoko sokoni na amevua nguo yuko uchi. Yule ni mgonjwa. Mwenda azimu ni mimi na wewe ambaye miaka 10 tunafanya jambo namna hiyo na tunatarajia matokeo tofauti. Sisi ndio wenda azimu hasa. Yule mwingine ni mgonjwa tu wa akili. Kwa hivyo lazima tubadilishe mbinu ambazo tunafanyia vitu vyetu, tujiulize kila mbinu inaleta manufaa gani na mbinu gani labda inaharibu ili tuachane nayo. We cannot keep doing things 20 years the same way and expecting different results. It cannot happen. Kwa dakika moja tu niende katika ile swali lako la pili. Unasema sexual and gender based violence. Do we go into responding or do we go into preventing? Swala hilo linaregeshwa katika masuala ya itikadi kali. When you are doing we want to do campaign against violence extremism. Je, tujikite katika kucounter ama tujikite katika kuzuia? Whenever you are countering, wakati wote ambapo unafanya mapambano kwa sababu jambo limefanyika, inamaanisha unatengeneza nguvu kubwa ya kukupiga na wewe. Sexual and gender based violence. Kama tuta concentrate only on responding, kuhakikisha watu wameenda jela, kuhakikisha watu wamefanywa hivi na vile, inamaanisha tunajenga nguvu kubwa ya watu kurespond kwa sisi pia. Cha msingi kabisa katika kuondoa zahama la dhulma za kijinsia ni kujikita katika prevention. Na kama walivyosema wenzangu, kuanzia chekechea kabisa, kama mtoto mdogo miaka 4, mvulana, unapaswa kumheshimu msichana namna gani? Msichana unafaa kumheshimu mvulana namna gani? Je, zile gender roles ama social norms zinapaswa kufanywa vipi kwa njia ambayo kwamba haziwezi kuathiri mwingine? Sawa? Kila ambacho nakiamini mimi ni kutengeneza safety net. Kama kuweka kamba, tuseme huko nyuma tulikuwa na sexual and gender based violence, lakini huko mbele tunapokwenda tuhakikishe haitokuwa tena. Ili isiwe tufanyeje? Tuhakikishe wale wanaochipuka wanachipuka na mindset safi, ambao kwamba inaona kwamba sexual and gender based violence ni jambo ambalo kwamba haliwezi kukubalika. Going forward itamaanisha hatokuwa na issues za kuaddress, maana already kila mtu amejikita kwa kuhakikisha haitokei tena. Asante.
Asante sana. Mmekubaliana kuwa mambo ni mengi Masani. Mambo mengi Masani, machache. Nawashukuru sana the panelists of today wameweza kutusaidia kupata ufafanuo zaidi ya kuoneshana ni ukweli kuna uhusiano wa hayo maswala. Lakini kabla niwaambie watupatie their parting shot. Maybe kama kuna mtu ana swali, comment, fupi na suggestion, this is your time. Because I think it will be very bad just for them to speak. It's like a monologue, it's one conversation. So that tuone kama mbegu tumerusha penyewe ndipo na tumekuwa tukijizungumzia hapa watu sita. Any comment, suggestion, feedback? Anyone? Tuko pamoja? Tumefurahia mazungumzo? Na tuko na swali kwa wenzetu hapa, labda ama kuambia asanteni, tumeisikia, tumeelewa, tutafanya. Kuna jambo lolote tutaka kuambia? Hakuna? Kuna swali, naona kuna mkono pale nyuma. Aya, so tutachukua pale wa kwanza, nani hapa? Alafu mwingine, na tafadhali kama una swali ama comment na iko directed kwa mmoja wetu, mwambie jina, sema jina, alafu tujue nani ataweza kujibu.
My name is Muhammad Abdullah and just a comment about how climate change can affect us or can also contribute to climate response. The case of Kibera, we have seen that a lot of prestigious movements and the tax was very high. And the people who are using that means of income is bad. So also on the other hand, deforestation and climate change can spread and contribute to the increase of PEs tourism. So how can we now, as youth now, intervene in a country like Somalia, which is high in deforestation, by exporting our skills and knowledge from here to there?
Is your question directed to anyone or any panelist can to all of them? Okay. So do we take the next one and then we respond to all of them together? There's a lady at the back there who also had a question. Dada, kama unaweza kuja mbele kidogo ndio MC akufikie. Simama.
Iko wapi? Sana.
Yes, okay.
Habari zenu? Okay, me niko tuna comment about your gender-based violence. Okay, kama mimi, I'm a survivor of that. And I'm proud. As in in everything that is up and down. As in everything also, there is a reason as to why it's happening. I have 3 kids, of which I was married, and at that time, I was married because I was raped when I was doing my comfort, and so I had to get married for the sake of my child. And at that point, the marriage was so bad, I'm the one who was working, I'm the one who was doing all the things for that guy, but for him, it was always abusing me. But I thank God nilitoka hapo from that marriage and I lived my life. So for the girls, for the boys, okay, there was discussion in the group of Mrs. and Mr. Kibera that we girls love money. But for me, I always say that love is not always about money. Love is always about commitment, respect, and communication. If there is communication, respect, and kuwajibika, at least itakuwa poa. Hakuna mwenye anapenda pesa. As in like, you guys pia mnafaa kuwajibike kwa watu wengi. So, mimi naweza sema asante for you guys for bringing that program because it may help a lot of people. Hata mimi nimesaidika. Jukami niko na magacha. encourage them and tell them that everything itakuwa poa. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So nafikiri okay, kuna mwingine wa mwisho, tutachukua hayo matatu alafu na panelist wetu waweze kusaidia kujibu, na kama the MC anapeleka microphone. Asante sana dada kwa ujasiri wako pia wa kushare. It's taken courage, you're bold, and I'm glad that unatusaidia pia kwa hayo mawazo. Tunashukuru tu sana. Thank you so much. So the last one. Grace, we can't hear you.
Check. Grace?
So my name is Grace, and the part of the conversation that we made was really interesting for me is the part of how the organizations are working. Because for really a long time we've been having so many organizations working around Kibera, and we kind of don't see so much change when it comes to looking at the community issues. So the part of communities organization working as a business, or was it a movement you talked about? I would say that some of the organizations are doing business, because if I'm out of business, if I no longer have girls to mentor, if I no longer have girls to talk to, if I no longer have people that I should take to somewhere, I will not be having, I will not have a person who will come and make a solution for me. So for my question goes to, I don't remember the name really. I want to work on the question. Mohammed. Sorry about that. So are we looking forward as organizations in Kibera? What would your points to them so that they can work better to make a better community, and so that in maybe 2 years or 3 years to come we can see a better Kibera? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. So we got the last one from here, and then the will respond.
I'll make reference to the presentation we had from the first speaker, who said, how are the young people prepared for the digital world? So to the panelists, I wanted to ask, as young people, we love social media platform as a space for us to be able to be heard. How do we bring this conversation of intersection, the topics you talked around today, that is climate change, gender-based violence, and the other one, to be able to encourage young people to speak more about this, or have platforms online, because I also love my phone. And that's the place I can actually be able to reach young people. So what are the methods or tactics as young people can actually use to use the digital world to make this conversation go a step higher?
Thank you. Your name, please?
Mesh.
Thank you, Mesh. So we'll start with Mohammed. So we'll start with Mohammed to tackle the 2 questions, and maybe any other panelists also want to speak into that, the issue of the youth in Somali. And then we'll have later John to just answer the question, the last question on the digital space and the responsibility and the discourse. So much.
Thank you very much. I will try to be very short. I'll start with the brother from Isli. Thank you very much for that contribution. Amesema kwamba masuala ya climate change pia yameathiri masuala ya tunaita misimamo mikali, or in professional language violent extremism. Niseme ni kweli, chochote ambacho kinafanya mwanadamu ajione kwamba ni mnyonge kinachangia yeye kutekwa nyara akili, na masuala ya misimamo mikali ni masuala ya kutekwa akili, ama masuala ya kuibwa mawazo, ufanye jambo ambalo si la sawa lakini utake kulifanya ili kujikimu. Kwa hivyo climate change has affected a lot of livelihoods, including hiyo misitu kupotea, maji kupotea, miti kupotea, ambapo watu labda wanataka kufanya makaa waweze kutumia hiyo na wakose. Wanapokosa unajiuliza wanakwenda wapi? Do they have an alternative? Kama jamii ni kuuliza what alternatives are we planting where that gap arises. Na hapo ndio mahali ambapo wenzetu wenye fikra potovu wanateka nyara vijana, mwambie unateseka bure hapa na kuna njia ambapo unaweza kufanya ukalipiza machungu yako. Sasa kabla uanze kulipiza mwingine, unajiuliza as a community, what have we done? There's what is called creating community resilience against hizi misimamo mikali. Kwa hivyo as a community, mimi kama Mohamed naweza safiri mpaka Somalia, lakini labda mchango wangu usiwe bora kuliko mchango wa nyinyi kama jamii. Mjiulize, which ways are you going to create resilience? Endapo vijana wenu wamekosa upande mmoja, what alternatives as a community are you going to give? As we speak on Thursday, I'll be in a panel discussing matters affecting Somalia as well here in Nairobi. But again, I'm only bringing our experience from the context of Kwale or Mombasa. But what is more important is if you can borrow from our experience, you borrow planting it on your context. Alright? Sisi kule kama misitu imeisha, ndio naweza mwambia nenda ukavue maana bahari ipo. Je, pale walipo vijana wenu wana alternative ya bahari? Wana alternative labda ya kuuza vinyago? Sisi hiyo ni alternative zetu. So the right solution comes from the community. But all we can do is give you techniques that may help you to find the alternatives around you. Thank you so much. Mwingine dada mwenye amezungumza kuhusu Grace. Asante sana dada Grace. Umesema tumezungumza kuhusu hizi dynamics zote ambazo zina affect community work. Na labda kwa nini muda wote huu tumeshindwa kuleta natija ama tumeshindwa kuleta faida kwa jamii despite a lot of investment. Na ukasema tufanyeje? Kupitia kwa Amani Kibera, brother Ben Oko, tunaweza kufanya mpango wa kuleta as many community groups as possible. Tukaanza kueleza tumekosea wapi na tuende namna gani. Jana nilikuwa katika kikao na community one of the local communities hapa kuzungumza tu kama community ile tunaweza kujibeba namna gani ili tufanye mambo ya sawa, ili kwamba turekebishe yale mambo ya nyuma ambayo hawakufanya vizuri. So there's an opportunity, but that's a conversation between you and Ben Ohopa and Amani Kibera. If you want that expertise that dialogue with us, we will be coming, but when you have mapped out yourselves and you are coming to address many organizations other than one. All right? Asante.
But I want to answer the question that she said, channeling us in the digital space. I'll turn the question back to you and ask you, what will you do, given the information that you have gotten from here? You can use Twitter, there are Twitter spaces. Network, even invite some of us and speak just 10 minutes, even on IG. So you can be able to start that conversation and just make it regular. Maybe it's once a month, twice a month, so that other people can also be able to gain from the knowledge that you have. Not so much waiting for other people to do it, but what can you do? Also, just record a few videos, share on your WhatsApp status. Very simple, doesn't cost anything. And these are all platforms that we all have.
A few comments. I think itawarudisha kwa the community library. The community structures that exist and can be used and start there. It is a fact youth are online. It's not about bundles. They are online. They are on Twitter, they are on IG, they are doing all sorts of things. There are Twitter spaces. There are conversations I see almost every night. So as a youth group, can you start something? Pengine muorganize conversation hapa Kibera, nyinyi wenyewe mnaongea mambo yenu. Invite your local administration to those conversations. Don't talk amongst yourself, halafu nimalize wende nyumbani. There is Facebook Live. You can have a hot topic. Mnaongea with respect, lakini hiyo topic is hot. People will join and they will contribute. Nowadays we have WhatsApp community. The different WhatsApp groups can come together into one space alafu mtaongea maneno yenu. You have one very powerful tool called Kibera radio, pamoja FM. Put a hot topic there and listen to what people of Kibera are saying. Then you will have several platforms through which you can pass information along. So my recommendation is this: go and find the information. Amesema enda kwa chief. If you don't know what is going on, you cannot be a part of it. But if you know, you will be able to participate. And there are many opportunities that come up. Zinatupita kwa sababu hatuna habari. So go find the information and then look at these common platforms that are free to use, that are available. You already have the device. You already have the bundles, so you don't have to run the bundles.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our panelists. Maybe just a parting shot from each one of us, very precise. Tuanze na Nancy from what is your parting shot? Quick one, and hope it comes to work.
Thank you so much, Salome, for moderating this event and asking us very challenging questions. And I want to thank Amani so much. And from the conversations we've had, I can see that people are willing to talk, people are willing to share. And I would like to request Amani that do this more often. Let's not do it once a year. We can have some monthly, and I can see you have space where we can talk about these issues. And one of the things I'm interested in is having a youth climate champions, whereby the youth can talk about the climate change. And as I say, in our next COP28 in Dubai, I would like to have voices from Kibera saying all the issues that they are experiencing. Thank you. Kibera Challenge Queen.
Michelle. I was just to say thank you again for this opportunity. What I'd say is let's educate ourselves. That's the only way we'll be able to fight ignorance and some of these ills related to STD.
John, thank you very much. I echo what my co-panelists are saying. Read, get the information, use the information wisely. You can't do anything about something you don't know. Read. And of course, now that we are in the digital era, digital inakupatia hiyo opportunity for read.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, asante. Mimi nitasema kwamba kujenga jamii si jambo rahisi na lazima iwe tuko tayari. Alright? Hakuna tena mitume. We no longer have prophets, but we are the prophets for our own communities. And if the prophets, wapendwa wa Mungu, hawakupata rahisi, hata sisi haitokuwa rahisi, but it needs to be done. And it cannot be done by me and you.
I want to say thanks to Amani Kibera and Ben. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks to all our panelists. I was very happy and humbled to be here, and I hope I can support and continue to be with the youth and the children in Latin.
Thank you so much, our panelists. Thank you so much, our participants. I know it's been lengthy, but I think tumejifunza sisi tumesoma na all is not lost. So maybe imefika mahali tumepewa strategies, tumepewa tips, tumepewa information. So changamoto ni kwetu. Thank you so much to the panelists. Maybe Oko, you just give us a song so that we exit the stage. Thank you. And a group photo.
Hey. Sweet mama. Let's go. I want you to dance fast. So there's so fun, you so fun for me. Sweet mama, I never forget you. So there's so fun, you so fun for me. Salma, thank you so much. Right. When I go cry, my mother go carry me. She will say nothing, but she will get stop. Stop. Big change. Thank you. Ben, please join us here for the photo. Please to tuchukue picha moja. Thank you very much. Hii panel ilikuwa so rich. Thank you so much mazee kwa kuweza Now, let me also ndio tumeanza sasa Eunice, DJ, nipe music anapokuja. Sweet mama. Sweet mother. 16 days of hapo tuna dance. Sweet mother, I don't forget you. So it's so fun, you so fun for me. Sweet mother, I don't forget you. So it's so fun when you so fun for me. Thank you. Thank you. Asanteni sana, tafadhali tuende kwenye viketi vyetu. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana. Mimi natumai kwamba what have been discussed siku ya leo uweze kuenea na uweze kupenya katika all our other groups that we own ndani ya Kibera.
Na cha muhimu sana MC Toothbrush. Ikwe you have that goodwill ya kufanya kazi ya community.
Kweli kabisa.
Unaweza kuwa na funding, unaweza kuwa na kila kitu, but if you don't have goodwill to do community work, inakuwa ni hitilafu kabisa. Ama ni aje? Ndio maana yake lazima tuone mabadiliko. When you are receiving the funding to do a certain project, wacha tuone mabadiliko.
Kweli kabisa. Remember those are 16 days of activism.
Right.
Please help me introduce our co-MC, Mesh DJ. Mesh, MC Mesh. Come on stage. Hey! Help me introduce DJ Mitch. DJ Mitch, who's a guest? That's DJ Mitch. Hey, sorry. Also we'll have DJ Okonkwo ndani ya nyumba. Thank you very much. DJ Spice MC pia tuko naye hapa siku leo. So tunataka tuanze. Tumeanza vizuri. Thank you very much Salima. Thank you so much. Right now, please help me introduce this powerful artist. And then Republic. Who is Republic by the way? Who is Anthem? Jamaa nasikia tu anajiita Anthem, amechua.
So Anthem Republic ni artist ambaye anafanya spoken word. Na pia he is the co-founder wa Sana Center, an interior designer and a spokesperson artist from Mathare, who turns human experience into creative words and brains to connect, engage and lead conversation that brings to self and community development. That's making our community better for every human being.
Put your hands together for Anthem Republic!
Asante sana DJ. Polo. Thank you so much Mr. DJ. Big up yourself. Mko vipi? Mayudu mko vipi? Mmelegeza aje? Mayudu mko vipi? Mayudu pande mko vipi? Mmelalisha rada gani? Mko vipi? Hapo sawa. Mimi naitwa Anthem Republic, tunafanya spoken soul reading penye umesikia. So wacha niende to direct to the point. So mimi nimetoka Mathare na feel niko home, yani nikiwa hapa Kibera, because Mathare na Kibera I think jina tu ndio tofauti ama vipi? So ni alaweni ni take opportunity ku welcome wase wenye si wa ghetto na wenye pia ni wa ghetto, wa feel kuwa ghetto na wakuwe proud kukuwa penye wako, because hakuna mtu mwenye uchagua penye anazaliwa kweli. I was born and raised up in ghetto. I spent my childhood years in abject poverty. Bullet for breakfast, lunch unpredictable, maybe supper, take water. What a life! My mama used to hustle every day for my better tomorrow. And she used to say, son, smile today, because tomorrow might be holding sorrows. Tukolabo leo, because kesho kuna mtu anaweza baki solo, so hata uko na shida nyingi aje uswipe and solo. Jiamini kabla watu wakuamini and so. At the tender age of 2 years, I could tell the difference between a real bullet and a rubber bullet. And mark you, none of my family is in the army. Situation has recruited us by force. We know no authority. Shoot to kill is the hit song in the ghetto song. Come to sing along. Come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa. Come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa. Ukiwa youth na uko ghetto, wanakuita criminal, wanasema kill them all. We are subjected into degrees of intimidations and violence. We are not independent in our own country. We are like refugees. Jesus told the wapi every corner in a smell dead. Kila mkaro ina flow blood. Kati mapete na zuni hadi naogopa. Naogopa sisi naishi maisha ya saa hii. Anytime unaweza sikia anthem is no more, wamemuwai. Come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa Come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye inaaminikani hawezi na kusucceed hatuwezi. Hii mtaa ukiwa youth na uko ghetto watakuita criminal. We are not independent in our own country. We are like refugees. Jesus told the wapi since every corner in a smell death. Kila mtaro in a flow blood. Kati ko painted na zuni hadi naogopa sisi naishi maisha ya saa hii. Anytime unaweza sikia wai. Anthem is no more, wamemuwai. Hii mtaku inaishi Kenyan citizens. Uliza mtuva atakwambia mambo huku ni mseto. Karibu ghetto na kupromise ukikamu utatamani kuseto. Ole kaushaikamu huku akakuhanda boss. Ni bila rose mwando haishi huku, so kungekuwa na mtu wa kukupembeleza. Boss kuna wenye wanaongoja tuombe ndio watupee, na wakitupea hawatupei kwa mkono, labda watupe. So in case nimesahau kukuomba, dear God, sijaisahau kumuomba. Sieste tunabondanga mali, ghetto sisi bonda sura, na bado mbebi anakuambia you are handsome. Napenda hiyo sura, so sura za wageto zikiogopesha kiudani treto. Jueni heart zetu ni safi kaza down on us, there'll be nothing to smile about. We come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa Come utembe kwetu ghetto. Come utembe kwa mtaa ya mastaa. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye inaaminikani hawezi na kusucceed hatuwezi. Mtaa yenye watu hawaishi huku wanajua mengi kuhusu ghetto hadi kuliko sisi wenyeji. Ati macho ya mghetto ikikuwa red, haiwezi kuwa alikuwa anavuta mkokoteni vumbi ikaingia. Wanasemanga alivuta bangi, sanani atamsaidia. Ati mghetto akikuwa na pesa, wanasema kuna mtu wa M-Pesa ametesa, aki amebeba pesa akamwachia tu mayo. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye watu waishi huko wanajua mengi kutuhusu hadi kuliko sisi wenyeji. Ati mghetto akiscroll tablet, wanasema kuna mtu wa estate akohosi akimeza tablets jua bila zilikaa. Karibu kwa hii mtaa, na ukirudi nataka uambie hivi. Waambie apart from sisi kwa wakora pia tuko na the best footballers wenye wamekaa tu bezo wakichomwa na sola. The best singers who can sing songs that can swing in your mind to remind you of the positive things that we are capable of doing. Tuko na the best models, the best actors, design waki-act, Oscar awards in a healthy wa ghetto. The best DJs who can scratch your negative attitudes and spin you back to a normal human. Tuko na the best rappers, design waki-rap, Kanye Western na sound kama Kenya ni from Western. We diamonds in the dust. Tumechafuka after some people kutuchafua, and we just need someone kutupanguza, because we are ready to shine to this world. We come utembe kwetu